man, the new album comes out, How to Live as Ghosts. It's out, honestly, about a month from now, give or take a day or so, and it's kind of a surprise album in a lot of ways because the last record, a lot of people, including the band, thought it was going to be the final album, and then here we are 2 years later. You and Matt are back in the band, another
Yeah,
record, and it's almost like a second. It's like a second wind for you guys. I mean, you guys crank it up on this record.
yeah. I mean, you're right though. We thought that the last one was probably going to be the end. I mean,
Yeah.
the state of the band was really unhealthy and toxic, and 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 that's a big reason why I came home. I took a hiatus in 2013
Yeah.
and stopped touring, and I wasn't happy. I didn't feel good up there on stage anymore. The band wasn't playing well. Just there was a lot of reasons why I wanted to just be done with it. So, I came home, and then Jesse stayed out there hustling, and he was still touring, and
Yeah.
basically fast forward a couple years after we made that last record, and Mascot, which is a European-based record company with
Hmm.
an office here in the States, they approached the band and wanted to really get behind us to try and make a record that would put us back on the map. And so Jesse called and we discussed it, and there was some changes that had to be made with the band. So
Sure.
we had to, unfortunately, we had to let go of a longtime member, a former guitar player. But,
Hmm.
we had to make that change. And then I came back along with Matt, and all of a sudden that healthy or that unhealthy and toxic environment was completely gone. Um, and we were refreshed and just excited again. It felt like we were 17 all over again. So,
Yeah.
it was like musical Viagra.
Nice. But hopefully this Viagra lasts. It won't be a bad thing if it goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. You know.
Yeah.
Now you were, even though you weren't playing with the band, you were still involved in some capacity with 10 Years, the last few albums. Is that correct, or you weren't in any way? Were you helping with like producing or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, even like the last record, because
Yeah.
the last album is the only one that I didn't tour behind,
Okay.
and that album I wrote it all and I played all the instruments on it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and I produced it at my studio. So records like that are fun to make, and I enjoy having all that freedom creatively, just to kind
Sure.
of go to my studio and do whatever I want whenever I want. Now, the only problem though with that is that it's easy to also lose perspective sometimes. So this time around, with Mascot involved and this new kind of like revived
Yeah.
and the beginning of this next chapter, we wanted to bring in a different producer and somebody where I didn't have to worry about all that. We could just focus on making a killer record. And so, you
Perfect.
know, that's where Nick Raskulinecz comes into play, because that guy,
Yes.
I mean, what a producer. He's
Yeah.
worked with Foo Fighters, Alice in Chains, Deftones, like all these huge bands that we look up to. So we figured if those bands trusted Nick with their music, then we can too. So
Yeah.
I think it was the best move we've made in a long time.
Now, a lot of people love doing, not being on the road, but still being able to write songs, produce, and still be involved with the band. But is it a different ball game when you're writing, producing, and you're not going to be touring behind the music you're writing, and then the next album, you're going to be on the road. You're going to be playing these songs, breathing life into them on stage. Is it a different feel when you're in the studio, either way
A, li-
around?
a little bit, because for us, especially being an organic rock band, we're not
Mhm.
one of those bands that shows up with a big Pro Tool system that's playing a ton
Sure.
of tracks. We what you hear coming off the stage is us, for the good or for the bad. There's nights where we're killing it, and there's nights where after
Sure.
the show we look at each other and we're like, what the hell just happened up there? It was rough.
Right.
um, but when you make a record, and I know I'm going to be playing these parts live, I definitely look at it from a perspective of what can I actually pull off that stays authentic to the recording. And you like, it's easy knowing that you're not going to be touring behind it to want to add 5 guitar parts when there's only 2 guitar players.
Right.
But this time we kept it pretty lean.
Mm-hmm.
It's a straightforward rock record
It is.
with meat and potatoes. That was our main focus, and
Yeah.
I think you can definitely hear that in the record.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the last record from Birth to Burial was an outstanding record. It was really good. I loved it. But there's just a different feeling to this album. And I haven't seen any of the stuff live yet because the record's not out yet, but I'm sure I will. And listening to From Birth to Burial and then seeing 10 years live on the last record cycle, I saw you guys live, I think back in 2011, and then to see the band live last year or the year before, it seemed like two completely different bands. Like there was just something that was different about 10 years. It wasn't really the 10 years that we all
Right.
know and love. And then you turn on How to Live as Ghosts, and from the very beginning, I think I said in my review something like the opening song Messenger, there's not a big musical intro leading into it. Like the song hits and there's Jesse ripping right into it.
Yeah.
You kick us in the ass from the second the record starts. I mean,
Right.
it's a different feel on this record.
It is, and I really, really credit Nick for that, because we have the tendency to want to make everything really feel like almost be cinematic, and we
Yeah.
we make everything. If Jesse and I are left alone with creative freedom, we'll basically try to make the weirdest album possible.
Sure.
We like soundscapes, and we like I mean, for fun, I listen to film scores and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I'm still very much so into that. But we are a rock band, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's easy for us, if we're given too much creative freedom, to actually drive the train off course a little bit.
Gotcha.
And the last 2 records, because I produced them, I fully will acknowledge that we didn't make those records for anyone else but ourselves. They were
Sure.
basically just, hey, I want a weird soundscape here. I'm going to do it. And there was nobody that was going to say, hey, don't do that. That's not a good idea.
Right.
So I do love the last 2 records. In fact,
Mhm.
Minus the Machine is probably Jesse's favorite record the band has
Okay.
ever done, but we knew that with this new relationship with Mascot and with this new lineup, we just felt like we needed to kick the door in, and we needed to show everybody in the business that, hey, we're still here, and we're going to make a killer record, and we're going to tour the world, and, we're back, and it feels good.
Yeah, the last 2 records, like you said, I love them too, but it took me it took me a few listens to really appreciate how really good those albums are, because it was like you said, you went down a couple, you experimented a lot on those records. It felt like, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was very different. And then with this one, it's a more, like you said, more stripped down, in your face, just rock and roll. It feels like the 10 years of old, and that experimental aspect, it's still there, but
Right.
it's more along the lines of maybe Feeding the Wolves or something along those lines. I feel like it's as far as rock goes, one of the strongest records you guys have done since you went independent, and
Yeah.
left the major label in a lot of ways. So it's good. It's fun to I've listened to it 3 or 4 times already. It's really good.
Awesome. Thanks,
Um,
man.
and I mean, so going on to touring, I mean, your fall is booked. You're going to be here in Indianapolis in the middle of November on Veterans Day, actually, at the Vogue, which is going to be a great show. You're hitting the road with Red and Otherwise. I mean, and then after that, you're hitting the road with Chevelle. I mean, how much of the live music can we expect or new music can we expect to hear live? Doing support track.
Well, I mean, honestly, we're hoping to play 3 or 4 new tunes
Okay.
live. It'll depend on how they go over, and
Yeah.
how we feel about them. But ideally, I mean, see, when we make a new record, I just want to play the whole new record. You know what I mean? Because I'm like so excited about it.
Yeah,
But we still have to give the fans some of the history.
of
So
course.
we give them the historical catalog, and then we'll sprinkle in the new ones. Our goal, though, over the next little bit, I'd say probably 6 months or so, is to eventually start playing every song on the record live, but just
Awesome.
kind of, we'll mix them in. So we might play a certain 2 or 3 one night, and then the next night maybe a different couple.
Oh, awesome. I mean, I like that because nowadays fans can go online and find the set list from the tour and they know exactly what you're going to play
Hmm.
sometimes. So it's kind of cool to not even the fans know what's coming. You can't
Oh, yeah.
find, is it kind of frustrating that nowadays you can pretty much find anything or a lot more about a band out, especially with touring than you used to be able to. I mean, does that affect you guys at all, or is that something you guys don't really think about?
Um, the set list thing we don't think about too much, but the one thing that you know, one opinion I do have is that I think because everybody's on Facebook and everybody's on social media, and I think that the boundary lines between um, artists, fans, and people in the industry and all that, they've slowly started to disappear,
Yeah.
and so now, even if I'm not friends with somebody on social media, they might scope my profile. And, I've had
Yeah.
fans come up and say, hey, so I saw your, blah, blah, blah was going on with your wife. How's she doing? Or I stuff like that. That's it. Like, it's very weird to hear that because I'm
Right.
like, wait, what? How do you know that? But
Wow.
that's just the world that we live in now.
Yeah.
That's it's like nothing is sacred and nothing is secret really anymore. But
Yeah.
I mean, that also, though, on the flip side, it provides unprecedented access for fans to find out things about, their favorite bands. I mean, we can now, something as simple as going live on Facebook,
Yeah.
you can give people from across the globe a glimpse into exactly what you're doing at that moment.
Oh yeah.
So for fans, that's really cool. I mean, even me, I watch people do that stuff all the time, people that I follow, and different artists, and I think it's really neat.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, even 10 years ago, there's some bands that I've just grown up listening to that you learn so much more about, and it makes you be able to be more of a fan sometimes because it's not just the music. There is so much more personal stuff, but even as artists, I mean, I feel like if you want to restrict fans from knowing so much, you still have an opportunity to do that in some way. You can still kind of keep those lines there because sometimes with the diehard fans, you almost have to sometimes because you know,
Yeah, yeah, there are those instances.
yeah, for sure. Now being off the road for 3, 4 years yourself and Matt, I mean, going back onto the road, are there certain songs that you are just dying to play live again? Maybe not necessarily songs that people would think of. You know.
Um, there's a song from our Minus the Machine album that I actually have only played live one time, and
Oh,
it's
okay.
called Battle Lust.
Okay.
And that song is, we did it one time at a what we call a ghost show, which is kind of like a fan club type thing, like a special intimate show we do for them.
Okay.
And we did it once, and ever since then I've been dying to do it again because it was so much fun. Uh, so that one is high up on the list for me, and then that one and every single song from the new record.
Well, they're all good. I mean, it's going to be hard to pick which ones you play and don't play for a while. I mean, Ghost is one of my favorites, and then Vampires is one of my favorites. Those two, obviously, Novocaine is right up there for me. But
Awesome.
I feel like most people are going to say that with it being the single right now. But I mean,
Yeah,
I always try to pick a song that maybe people aren't going to think of for what I
sure.
like the most.
Sure. Well, you know what? You're in good company with your choice of vampires because Nick actually, when he was just doing the upcoming Alice in Chains record, he let those guys hear our full record, and Jerry Cantrell's favorite song on our album was Vampires.
Nice. Oh man,
Yeah.
being a guitar player, I mean, that's got to be like right up there for like the highest honor you can possibly
Yeah.
get. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I mean, there's no way around it. He's a legend.
yeah.
And, yeah, it was really cool that they even took a listen to it.
Oh
So,
yeah, for sure. I mean, what was it like playing drums and guitar on the record? Was that tough, or is that something? I mean, I know with the last record you did a lot of stuff with that one, but I mean, is it fun to do multiple instruments on a record, and then is it kind of tough to choose which one you want to do when you go out on the road?
yeah, I mean, I've played drums and guitar on every record.
Yeah.
So, so as far as the guitar thing goes, um, the biggest thing I can say with the live performance is that being on the drums, I was always pushed in the back of the stage. I was hidden
Mm,
behind drums and cymbals,
of
and
course.
I felt somewhat disconnected from the people because you're so far away.
Yeah.
But now on guitar, it takes a minute to get used to people being literally like only a few feet away.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap, you're right there. That freaks me out. You know. But I mean, I love it though too. So that was the biggest thing to get used to, and that change was just being almost feeling exposed and
Gotcha.
just up there like that. But on the records, yeah, I mean, I love playing drums and guitar because those two instruments for me they're totally married to one another. So if I write a guitar riff, I know instantly without having to think about it what I would do on the drums. And if I
Okay.
have a drum beat in my head, a lot of time that can facilitate the writing of a really cool guitar riff. So those two things just work so well together for me that it kind of, I think that's just something that the band has always done, and that's part of the sound.
Awesome. Um, so after these, obviously it's got to be fun having the record come out mid tour. I feel like there's just a different atmosphere and energy when it comes to record releasing mid tour as opposed to
Hmm.
before, after, because it gives you an opportunity to maybe play some more songs from the new record because now people have heard the songs, had a chance to digest it, connect with it, pick their favorites and whatnot, and you can really gauge, how well the new material is really going to go over with the fans. So I mean, do you guys look forward to the record releasing mid tour, or is that something that doesn't matter to you guys? Or I mean, how does that affect you?
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of when the Autumn Effect, our first album through Universal,
Mm,
came out. We were on tour, and I don't remember exactly where we were, but I'm wanting to say like maybe Nebraska or someplace like
Midwest.
that. We were like in the middle of nowhere, and we stopped our van at a Walmart and went in to try and find our album, and we found it, and it was crazy because at that point we were just some kids from Knoxville, Tennessee that
Right.
that had never done anything like that. So releasing mid tour is cool. I mean, you get the excitement, and people at the shows, they share in that excitement too.
Mhm.
I mean, it's it's yeah, it's really neat. I think it's cooler to do it that way than just be sitting at home.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. I mean, fans, whether people can say that people don't buy music anymore, but at a show when an album is out the day of that show, people are going to pick that up because they're hearing the stuff live. I mean, they're ready for it. I mean,
Yep.
and so I mean, playing here, Indianapolis, November 11th. You're up in Fort Wayne the night before. There's just something special about rock and roll in the Midwest. It's just it's a different vibe. It's a good feeling. It's just the heart and soul of the country. It's gonna be such a good show. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys with Red and otherwise. That tour is I can't tell you how excited I was when I saw that tour announcement. I mean,
Oh, cool.
yes, it's gonna be awesome. So man, Brian, thank you so much for taking time to talk to me. The new album is amazing. Can't wait to see you in a month and a half. It's going to be good, and I think it might be my wife's first 10 years show. If
Oh,
I can,
cool.
if I can get her to come, She's not a concert person, but I think
Ah,
she may not have a choice. She might be coming.
there
So
you go. Well, tell her that one of the guys in the band requests her present.
I'll let her listen to the interview, and then she'll hear it, and yeah, she'll be. I think she'll be there. But myself, for
Awesome.
sure, looking forward to it, man. Good luck on the road. Good luck with the album release, and we'll see you in a few months.